Cold start. Let's see it. Not bad. Well, it is pretty much officially the cold season. I would say, I would reckon, you might have a bit of warmth yet, but for the most part, we're dipping into the cold season. So I felt it necessary, obligatory. Another word, drawing a blank here. Necessary, obligatory. I don't know why I'm trying to come up with words that relevant. I found it relevant. Anyways, I wanted to make a video and talk about something that's very important that everybody needs to consider when they ride in the cold, or ride in the colder temperatures. And something that I specifically am very, very conscious of when I'm riding in the fall / late season. And so I wanted to kind of just say how I change my riding habits when I'm riding in the cold. And so that's the main point here, is that I kind of change my habits, or the style that I ride in the cold temperatures. And that's, I think, a key takeaway from this, right? So the most important thing, or the thing that I focus on most, is riding a little bit more conservatively, especially on turns. Okay, so if you learn anything from DDFM's channel, you know that when whenever there's an accident that he watches when he's doing crash reviews, there's commonly ones where he can tell that it's somewhat cold out, not hot temperatures, we'll say, and it's very clear that that the rider took maybe a little bit too sharp of a turn, or went a little bit too hard on the turn, where their tires aren't grippy enough to be able to stick to the road and make a turn that they would be able to in warm weather. And it's a pretty easy thing to conceptualize, right? When it's colder out, I hate those bike turns, or sorry, the pedestrian crosswalk things. Anyways, it's pretty easy to conceptualize that when it's colder, your tires are not going to be as malleable, right? Because they're rubber. So the warmer it is, the air, it has something to do with the air pressure in them, I want to say, but I'm not 100% certain. But when it's warm out, your tires can kind of mold and stick to the concrete better, right? That's why you see, like, even in like NASCAR or MotoGP, they do burnouts on their tires, and that actually has a practical purpose. It warms up their tires and gets them nice and sticky, right? So that makes you able to make sharp angled, quick turns, right? Well, that's something that you have to be mindful of when you're riding in the cold. You can't necessarily do that. While your tires will warm up in the cold, they're not going to warm up near as quick, and so you have to make sure that you're riding in a manner that's a little bit more conservative, and you're taking your turns more, maybe not leaning down as much, because that's where it becomes important that your tires stick to the ground, right? Not leaning as much. So it's going to be more common to find slippage in the rear tire when you're riding in cold weather. So that's one major thing that I am cognizant of when I'm riding in cold weather, even in like right now when it's like 40 degrees out, okay? Because it's something that I have noticed. I've had slippage in my rear tire that I would not have expected in warm weather, but have happened in cold weather, okay? So it is a very real It is a very real thing that does happen. And if you want to search it up and look into it a little bit to find a more scientific answer, go right ahead. But I promise you that that's the way things work. So another thing is gear, right? So if you try and ride in the cold with very minimal gear, it's going to be very rough for you for many reasons. Not just because, you know, you may be kind of a hard ass if you can ride in 40-degree weather with no gloves, you know, just a helmet, shorts, and t-shirt. You know, props to you. You might just be like David Goggins or something, but nonetheless, it's kind of dangerous because when you're riding, especially if you don't have like good gloves that protect you from the wind and, you know, the cold wind, your fingers and your hands can go numb very, very quickly, like very, very quickly. Okay, and you don't really think about this until you actually go out and do it in the cold. Like if I were to be riding with no gloves right now, it'd be crazy. Your hands go numb, and the reason that is so dangerous is that your hands are, you know, 2 of the 4 major limbs that are controlling your primary controls on the motorcycle. You can't really operate the bike properly without both your hands functioning properly, right? Now, I mean, there are exceptions to that. That statement isn't completely true, but nonetheless, if you're like most motorcycle riders, you're going to need pretty good function of both your hands, okay? and so that's something that's important to note, that, you know, you change that habit when you're riding. You need to have more protective gear as far as, you know, temperature wise. So that's why I have these thicker gloves that I wear in the winter. If you've seen any of my videos in the past, you know I talk about these gloves that I have, and now I've finally been wearing them because they provide a lot of protection. I ride in like 30-degree weather with these on, and my hands come out and they're warm. They're warm like a muffin. Another small note is that, like, anti-fog is a real thing. Like if you can get like products that make your windscreen or your visor, sorry, not fog up as easy. And those I've never used that, but you know, I know people advocate for them and say that they are useful. But fog is a thing that you have to worry about in the cold. Your visor will fog up a lot quicker during the cold weather, and so that's something that you need to keep in mind. I notice it a lot, especially when I have this face shield on that I wear to protect my neck from the cold. Just a few things that change in the colder weather and need to be mindful of when you're riding, if you are going to ride in the cold weather. So hopefully this was helpful, and take it easy, guys.